So welcome to another war game review from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we are taking a look at the long-awaited Tank Duel, Enemy in the Crosshairs from GMT Games.
We first played this like 3 months ago, and we're just finally getting around to playing again and reviewing it. It's terrible.
And that's because we played this with some friends of ours who came around, and we didn't want to
we didn't want
stay up all night making a review.
Interrupt you.
We played some other stuff.
And we had a good time with them.
Yes.
There were 4 of us, and we had a good time with it.
So, Tank Duel. This is a very different style of game from the games that we typically play.
Yes, I would agree.
Most of the games we play have a fixed board, and you're moving around counters or pieces on that board. There's regulated movement and all this kind of stuff, right? Trying to take objectives, trying to kill each other, rolling on a CRT. This is a very different style of game.
Kind of theater of the mind.
Yes.
Right? Where you're imagining on a 2-dimensional board your relative ranges and where you're located. Are you flanking behind? So
and some
very
of that
different.
Might be setting off bells of like, oh, that sounds familiar. I wonder where I've seen that
front.
before. Yeah. So
one of the games that we have played many, many times with our father-in-law.
Yes.
From the when was it made? 70s? Early 70s?
I don't know. A long time ago.
Maybe late 70s. And man, it's a good game.
Yeah,
if you haven't played up front, play it.
But they're
very reminiscent of that.
This draws from that.
Yes.
Okay.
Not the same, but similar elements.
Yeah, there's some familiarity.
Yes.
So this is the board, right? I have a Tiger tank.
And I have an M4. Well, I was looking at this side.
A T-34.
Okay, I was looking at the M4.
The KV-85.
So, yeah, sorry.
I got a Panzer IV.
Yeah, you're right. Shut up.
So
I was looking quickly.
But there's a whole bunch of tanks.
I played the T-34.
Yeah. And basically, this tank is what I'm going to play on. You're going to be commanding your tank. I'm going to command my tank. And this game can play up to 8 people. So there is play.
Doesn't really
score.
get that feeling where I'm moving a tank around. Oh, sorry.
No, sadly.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty cool. I do like these cards. I think they're kind of nifty.
You can play it 4 aside, so I can have 4 Ruskies and I can have 4 Germans. Mm-hmm. I presume that there's expansions for this coming out.
Well, if you aren't aware, North Africa was just announced.
Yes, I think I do remember
that. Tank pack number 1.
Ooh,
so just additional tanks.
Well, I like that.
Yeah. And they probably go deep into the lexicon of tank lore and draw out some of the ones that we don't see very often.
Because in this
I've seen the list.
This has got Panzer IIIs, Tigers,
T-34s,
Panzer IVs, and Stug 3s.
Oh, you're talking about German.
Just German. So I'm hoping
maybe they have
we get some heavy tanks or some other tank.
I've looked the list over, but I don't know that I have
well, I'm going to get into
that.
But North Africa, that might be fun.
And it adds new terrains and, keeps the same system, but it's going to add some new terrain cards. Yes. You're not going to have mud in North Africa. You're going to have
sand
or a sand pit or, more sand. Sand and more sand.
This is East Front.
Yeah.
But it's tank-on-tank combat.
Yeah.
Frankly, the setting is fairly
yeah, it could be anything, right? And I think that's their goal.
It just happens to be, I've got German tanks, you've got Russian tanks. But really, this is a game of moving around and shooting each other to death. Mm-hmm. That's the objective of this game, effectively.
Quick, easy, quick and dirty.
There's a couple of different scenarios where it's like, oh, try to do this thing or that thing, but like...
Generally, it's kill 3 tanks of your enemy here.
We're trying to kill each other and have a fun time. This is a very, very beer and pretzel style
I would
game.
agree.
Just having a good time with a bunch of people, right?
I would also say this game, it was better. I had a better time when we played 4 people.
Yes.
When you play 2, it's just not, I don't know. You're controlling like more than one tank. It's just not as fun.
Yeah, that too.
It was more fun trying to coordinate with my partner.
Yeah.
And trying to get flanking, or that was more fun than just playing you and I.
And having more and more people, the game just, I don't know. It's a fairly light game to an extent. And
it's light, but it has some of that crunchy minutia stuff to it.
But it becomes a social game, right?
Right.
It's just, we've all got tanks. We're all
It's
having
more
a
about
good laugh,
making...
shooting each other, having a good time together,
time.
right?
Yep.
That's how I feel about this game.
Yep.
I'm not sitting here working out crunchy stuff on a CRT and like...
The deck does all that for you.
How am I going to get all my guys in supply?
It's not like MBT. Right? That's a different animal. We played MBT. We had various thoughts about MBT. This is not MBT.
This is just, I got a hand of cards.
Yeah.
I can move with some of them. I can shoot with some of them.
Yep.
And that's, this taking some cover and some different bits and pieces. But like, that's, this is a fun game to play with lots of people, I think. That's where you're going to get the most out of this. But with that said, it is a card game, right? You've got your battle board. This has all of your different positions for all your guys, and they might get wounded and you become less effective.
Yep.
It has a little track up here that tells you which movement cards you're allowed to use, which fire cards you're allowed to use, some different victory points, like if they shoot your tank commander, they get X amount of victory points. If they shoot your gunner, X amount of victory points. If they destroy your tank, X amount of victory points. Then this is your kind of CRT, so to speak, over here. This tells it's got range bands, how much how much
your
you need to hit,
value,
your penetration value, defensive values, all of that's right here. And then you have like your actual distance, relative distance from each other.
So that was what reminded me the most, I think, of up front, was that concept of, remember the little card of your iron sights, and it's like you're looking really far down range, and then you move up, and all of a sudden you can see a guy in your iron sights, and that's that relative range concept. This is tracked, not with those cards, but it's tracked on your board.
Yeah, so I might be at like the 600 range.
And I might be at 400.
But the distance between us is 1,000. So when I
that's
roll
what we refer
my to hit, I roll on the 1,000 line of that chart.
So I thought that was well done. I thought it was very understandable. I remember when we were playing, it was a rush to get up into what, in essence, is firing range. And then it's like, oh, crap, I'm too close. I remember many times thinking, what the heck did I do running up on top of this hill where everybody can see me? But I was having a good time,
And then, and this was some more of that, I've gone up too far, well, I can get outflanked.
And then you're in trouble.
And then that's very bad. You start taking a lot of penalties, or they get bonuses to hit you.
That's an interesting thing, because if your partner is flanking the tank and you're flanking it, then you get like different bonuses. Yeah, I'm trying to remember what the fire bonus was.
It's easier for them to hit you. I think it's -10 to hit.
Yeah, it's just
something like that.
It's not a huge thing, but it's pretty nice. You're not shooting at the front heavy, thick armor.
So that's it. It's easier to hit. But it's also, you're hitting the side armor, which is nice and juicy.
Yeah.
And so you're more likely to hit, you're more likely to pen, and you're more likely to destroy them.
Yeah.
And so there's neat tactics in working out who's doing what where and trying to make that go.
The other thing I liked that really reminded me of up front was that playing a negative terrain card.
Yeah.
If your opponent is in motion, not stop, but if they're moving, you can, in some instances, throw down like a mud bog.
Yeah, stick them in the mud.
And it's really cool because it makes it easier to hit. They have to spend more move cards to get out. That really felt like up front as well, and really took me back to that concept, and was something that I enjoyed. I would be holding that mud card, and I'd be like, oh, I'm waiting for the opportunity to throw it on you so we could flank the crap out of you and finish you off. So very cool. I liked those concepts and trying to use the cards that I was dealt to my greatest benefit. There are a lot of other elements like increasing your fire or move temporarily so you can use those higher valued cards. That was kind of cool, but getting that to work can be very painful. What are those called? Those are called
it's
order icons.
Is that what it is? Oh yeah, order icons. The little stars.
Yeah.
You can spend those to do a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Or stuff that might be entirely necessary.
Yeah.
But that spends a lot of cards out of your hand.
And you only have a certain amount. You have
pretty expensive.
5, 6, 7 cards. You don't have a lot.
Yeah, you can use those to like automatically succeed at a check.
Yeah.
For example, if you're on fire,
Which happens a lot, right?
Putting out a fire, I swear, can be some of the most difficult thing to do in this game.
Yep.
Because you're doing some cards to try and get this like extinguisher icon.
Yeah.
If you can't get it, you're like, oh crap. Or you can spend those OIs, but like, dang, that's like half your hand gone.
Yeah.
And so there, this is a move and shoot game,
Yep.
but there's this extra layer of some nitty gritty of like, you're this tank commander. Like, you got this hand of cards. That's what you're able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I maximize what I do with this? Mm-hmm. I need to put out this fire, or
I need to move out of range.
Check.
I need to get cover.
Yeah,
there's all kinds of things you got to do.
I'm trying to pass a check to go hull down.
Yep.
Because hull down's going to give me so much good cover.
Remember our first play? We really messed that up.
We did.
And
horribly.
It was like really hard to hit people.
Yeah.
And then we realized, this takes a roll pulling a die to...
And it's a very difficult one, too.
So it doesn't happen often.
And if you don't do it, you wasted, some of your field actions. You've wasted some of your cards. You're like, oh, good gracious.
Yeah.
So that's where there's actually a good amount of stuff to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And the play aid's pretty crunchy as well.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be like, oh, super light, but like,
there's a lot of text on there.
Here.
Because there are a lot of exceptions to the different types of ways things can be used. So that was something we were talking about tonight after, we went through the rules again. The game, it's not for everybody.
No.
We were talking like, I enjoyed this, but like I said, I enjoyed the 4-player with Mike and Nate more than I enjoyed 2-player.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not going to play this 2-player.
I think we would rather play
there's
something
a lot
else.
of other games I'd rather play.
Now, up front, I will play with 2 players.
Yes. Because that's designed as a 2-player.
Right. This is designed as a 4 to 6 or 8 player.
You give me 4 or 6, 8 players. It's just a good laugh.
Yes.
And it
had a good time when there were more.
A really cool niche
Yeah.
for things at conventions or tournaments or when you have big groups. And that's awesome because not a lot of games can do that that aren't 12 hours long.
Right. Yeah, you can play a game in 30 minutes. I mean, it can be really quick.
Well,
30 to 40
that
minutes.
Many,
yeah, if you have 8 people, it's not going to be 30
it's a bit
minutes. It's going to be more like 2 hours. But so once again, if you don't like some of that, laugh it off. Oh, that sucks that I just drew a fire.
Or you can't hit for crap.
Yeah, you got to laugh it off. You got to have fun with it, and you got to then just play it again. When your tank is destroyed, more often than not, you immediately respawn.
Yeah.
And you're right back in the fight. And so understand that. Just have a good time with it. Don't get so lost in the win or lose of this game. I think you're missing the point. So if you don't like games like that, not sure this is for you. If you also don't like games that you have to do a hit roll and then you have to do a penetration modifier,
a location hit,
and then you have to do 3 or 4 steps each time to do a hit, and that can be, but it's all pulling a card. It's very easy.
Yes,
you're pulling cards.
There's no dice rolling in this. All the dice rolling is done in a closed system of the card deck.
Yeah,
and most of the time, I really, really like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I just think
it's cool.
At some point, my bad luck's going to end.
Yeah.
Because it
because you got so many bad cards. Good cards are going to come up. But the problem is you're using this deck along with your opponents.
Yes.
You may be skimming out the bad cards.
Or I'm
going to pull
using my leadership abilities, which are really powerful.
Right.
That's also got my 31 to hit, which is going to hit every time.
Which would be nice to have in your deck. So yeah, I think Mike, the designer, Mike Berticelli, did a good job of making this a fairly light, fairly engaging, good multiplayer game. Now, this stuff does have a system called Robata, which is like a solitaire system. We did not play that.
And frankly, I'm not interested in that.
I don't know that that's something we're going to get into, but there are a lot of people that
it's available.
I think would be interested in doing that. But I'm going to tell you, with 4, 5, 6 people, this game is very fun.
Yeah, I think a big player count. It's just sitting down, having a laugh, shooting each other. But it's got a layer of some extra thinky if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
What I'll do is I'll show you the board and just a very brief about how this works, and I'll wrap up with some final thoughts. So this is I call it a board. It's hardly a board. Like, you literally play on these really thick card playmats. So this is your Tiger tank. Oh, we got a Panzer IV on the back. Russian T-34. There's a whole bunch of these. This has basically everything that you need to know, and then the other thing you'll have is a hand of cards based on how many tanks that you're controlling. So you can play this where you control multiple tanks, but if you play with like 6 or 8 people, everyone's going to have one tank. That's kind of to me, the best way to play this. So you got this kind of little number chart over here. So this T-34, it's got this move and fire in the 7 box. That means it can utilize cards which are 7 or less that have fire. So this is a move 4. Well, it can use that. It's got a move 7. It can just about use that. But if you had something like a move 8 or a move 9, you could not use that typically. And it's the same thing with the fire cards and the flank cards. So we've got a flank 5. We're good. We can use that. And we have... let's see, but here's a fire 1, right? This is a very good card. Every tank can use this. But if you've got a fire 9, you know, it's the caliber of your gun, you can't use it. You can't utilize all the cards because your tank isn't as good. Whereas you look at something like the Panzer IV, well, they've got a much better gun because they're upgunned, but they're less maneuverable because of all the side skirts and the transmission. So he's got a move 6. So he can't use the move 7 cards, which the T-34 can. However, the T-34 can't use the fire 8s, which the Panzer IV can. So, if you look at something like the Tiger tank, they've got much less maneuverable, and their fire's down at a 6 as well. However, they can't use as many cards, but their to-hits are much, much better, and their penetration is much, much better, and they're up-armored significantly compared to the T-34, for example. So, you know, there's some balancing done in that, but that's the major statistics that you're looking at. There's some holding boxes for different ammos and guns and hold-down positions. Your crew members have little holding boxes as well. There's a space here for the terrain that you're in. You have a generic, natural kind of field terrain that you're always in if you're not in anything special. And then there's this little range track up here. So the range track again dictates this relative range. So let's say you start at 1000 range. You might play a move card, and the move card's going to literally move you up. So for example, if we use this move 4 card, it says move up to 200 meters. So I can go from 1000 to 800 meters, because that's 200 meters. If I was flanked, I would pull a battle card to remove 1 flank. I can double move. Instead, I can move up to 400 meters. I can do that if I so chose. Depending on, you have options to move up further and to, unflank yourself, things like that. So you're moving, and why you do that is you want to get up close. If you get yourself into this range, which is like really close gun range, this is really tempting, but you gotta be careful. It increases your hand size. That's a good thing. You have more options to choose from. But the closer range you are, the easier it is to be hit and killed. So, for example, if I'm at this 400 range, and let's say the Tiger tank moves up and gets themselves into 200 range, sure, I've got an extra card, but now there's only 600 yards between us. Well, the Tiger tank's rolling on a 600 table here, which means they're going to hit on an 87 or less out of 100. So they're going to hit you with basically everything, and their penetrations are 14, which is colossal. Okay, if he gets a shot off at me, I'm going to be dead, unless I go hull down or I get myself into some advantageous terrain and cover, things like that. And that's what the major movement's about. You want to get into a decent range so you can get off a good shot, but you also want to be able to do that and then jump into some terrain, for example. So there's a lot of these different cards. Let's say I get myself up onto a hill. Okay. This provides me with cover 5, and if I'm shooting downhill, I get +1 to my penetration, which means it's easier for me to hit to pierce your armor. And if you're shooting me, you're -1 to your penetration, so it's harder for you to penetrate my armor. If I'm moving, so this is where it's kind of like up front. So you kind of start in this state. I might put that, if I'm moving, I put the move card down here, I'm in motion, right? Because I use that moving aspect of it. When you're in motion, it's -40 to hit. It's really, really hard for me to hit you. However, it provides cover 30. It's hard for you to hit me. I'm a moving target. So, motion's good. The problem is that if I'm in motion, someone else might slap a mud on me. Target in motion, enemy tank, place mud in the holding box. So now it's -10 to hit, so that it's harder for them to hit, and then it's fire actions targeting this tank gain +10 to hit. So it's harder for you to hit me, but easier for me to hit you, for example. Or, if I can get away with it, I might be able to play something good on myself, like that hill, or if I get myself into the woods, I might be able to pass a conceal check to conceal myself, to remove any spotted markers. I might be able to roll to try and go hull down, which means I'm going to get a negative for you to hit me, which is good. It means it's harder for you to hit me. So that's kind of that movement, this relative range, and the kind of being able to play cards on each other. It's very reminiscent of Upfront. And then basically you're trying to get into range to shoot people. So let's say I'm at range, they're at 400, and let's say the enemy tank, the Tiger tanks, at also 400. So we're going to roll on this 800 table. Let's say I take a shot. So I'm going to let's play the fire one. Okay. Target a spotted enemy tank and initiate a fire action. So let's say I had spotted them. I basically roll to shoot, and I'm +10 to hit because my card says that I am. So I'm going to pull a card. Oh, that's terrible. So I look at my 800, and I need to roll a 79, and I rolled a 95. So this +10 to hit goes onto my 79, so I need to roll an 89 to hit, and I roll a freaking 95, which is terrible. That's so dumb, so I miss. Let's say I had rolled a 13. That's a really, really good hit. So I'm going to hit you. That's awesome. So then what you do is you determine where I hit you. So that's what this little chart in the bottom here is for. So if it's a 0, I hit you in the tracks. A 1 through 5, I hit you in the hull. A 6 through 9, it's the turret. So I rolled if you look here, in these numbers, there's a little crosshairs symbol. So there's a crosshairs, this is over the 9. This crosshairs is over the 1. That tells you where you hit. So let's say we rolled a 9. That means I'm going to hit you 6 through 9. I hit you in the turret. Let's say I'm shooting your front armor. Front armor for the turret is an 11, or the side armor is a 9. So I have to overcome your 11 armor. Well, at 800, my penetration is an 8, which is not good. If I have an armor piercing round, I'm +3. So I might be in 11 if I've got armor piercing. But, so 11 on 11, what I'm then looking for is the penetration modifier. Boom. This pen mod is +2, so I'm a 13 if I was shooting armor piercing rounds, which means I'm going to penetrate. That's awesome. So I penetrated, I hit, everything's looking good so far. Then what you do is the opponent is going to roll a damage card. So there's this damage deck, and the damage deck's going to tell you what happens. So you're going to refer down to the hull, to the turret. We hit in the turret, right? And so then you're looking at light damage versus heavy damage. And depending on what kind of damage you did, that's what you're going to resolve. So, for example, the light damage tells you that the driver's going to be wounded, the assistant driver, and then there might be an explosion. So you can make a check for explosion. Or for heavy damage, the commander, the gunner's going to make a check, and the explosion, and then then there's a fire as well. And this is all very nuanced between capital letters and lowercase letters to do with it happens or it might happen. You might have to make a check as to what goes on. But basically, you resolve all the effect. You might end up on fire. You might try and roll, you've got to roll cards to see if it has the explosion symbol and you blow up and you're all dead. You get into some little minutiae here, and it's pretty neat. It's learning it can take a little bit of time. As the rules are a bit of a struggle, I felt, with this game, just how they were written. But you get into this crunch. Once you get going, though, you flip a card, then you flip another card, and then you move on to the next thing. So that's kind of the crux of how this game works. You can play it with 8 people, have 8 tanks, and you're just kind of moving and shooting each other. But that's the core of how this one works. So what we'll do, I'll just wrap up with a few final thoughts. So that was a look, at least, at some of the mechanics, right? This rulebook's actually pretty hefty.
Yeah.
For what it is, right? It's 20 pages of rules, but the playbook's twice the size. It's like 50 rules.
Yeah.
So
well, and that was one thing I know we had picked. We picked a couple scenarios, and they each have like exceptions.
Yeah.
Like don't play with the rebel cards, or don't
you take out these cards, put these ones in. Then there's a stack of those that you.
But it's fairly clear in the scenario book. You just need to be aware that it's going to change from game to game in that respect. You're not going to line this deck up and generally play with it over and over and over again. Most of it, but there's always some things you're not going to have in there.
Yeah. My major gripe with this game was I felt like the rulebook was not good. It was. For a game that should be fairly accessible, man, I don't know why I struggle with the rulebook. Yeah. And the play aids just referred you back to the rulebook a lot.
Yeah, the play aid, rather than really helpful text, it was a lot of go back to the rulebook, look in this section.
We had a lot of discussing back and forth about how to interpret certain rules and what is this trying to say.
That first play was very slow because of that.
And some of it's where is this in the rulebook?
Yeah.
That was a little bit tough. I might just be a moron. That is
very possible.
Very possible, because
let's ask Kelly. Let's see what she says.
Everyone else plays this game and had a great time with it, but I struggle with the rulebook on that.
Well, and I enjoyed the game, but I think I would not play this with just you and I.
No, it's not.
To me, we're going to play this at WBC with I think 6 or 8 people. And I think that's going to be a good time. It's going to be, because it'll be fun making fun of the other people.
And everyone else will probably be half drunk.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we should rule.
Well,
right?
I don't want to jinx it.
We should rule it. But, to me, once again, big player counts, have a good time with it, understand what it is, don't get caught up in what it isn't.
Serious game.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people really like this game. I think we're probably in the minority. I don't think we don't like it. It's just not a game that I think we're going to choose over some other games.
Yeah, so this is a game that fits a particular niche, right?
Yeah.
Lots of player count, having just a good time.
Yep. Fairly simple.
Not a lot of war games do that.
Fairly simple mechanics.
This is not going to be first on the docket.
No.
But that's fine. That's totally fine. That's just an opinion as well.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will love this and love it 2-player.
Yeah.
And will set up 2 tanks apiece and they'll just go at it over lunchtime.
Another thing that I ask myself a lot, because we play a lot of tactical games. We've played fewer tactical games that have tanks and vehicles. The games that we have played, have you enjoyed tanks and men combined arms more than just infantry? And I think, because I think the reason I asked that is I think tanks are cool and very novel. But in my tactical games, I don't like tanks as much. That's me. Now, some people will tell me, I love the tanks. That's why
that's
they
very
love...
you as well.
It
I
is.
understand that.
I like the guys
I
running
agree
around.
With you like that. Absolutely.
So for me, tank games are always a little... I don't want to use the word difficult. They are too crunchy for me in some ways. Although I like crunch. You know that.
Yes.
I almost feel like they're over the top. Like even pulling 3 and 4 cards to decide did I hit you or not.
Interesting.
To me is like, it's not terrible, but it's like, we just do it in 1 or 2 cards.
See, that to me,
I know you
one
like
thing
it.
I really like about this game.
And
I like that because that harkens back to my tabletop miniatures gaming, which is also very, very similar. Roll to hit, roll to pin, you're going to roll to bounce and save.
Yep.
And
in those games,
you're going to roll in and out of like bailing or getting back in. This reminds me of that where I roll to hit, where do I hit, do I penetrate, if I penetrate, I pull my damage card, is it serious damage, is it light damage, and so there's this whole flowchart you go through, and then it's like, oh, I blew up.
Yeah.
You know, that can happen. You do all this, and it's just like, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's like, I make a save, it's great.
Yeah.
So I that's the part of it that I really enjoyed, the resolution. I don't know what it is, but I like that.
And I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
I just... Because in Combat Commander, you pull a couple cards, and you might have an event, but it's different. But
you make a fire attack, and it's like, do I hit yes or no?
Yeah. So the reason I brought up the men is I was thinking this one would be fun with an expansion pack that had a lot, like different types of infantry and we didn't play with that.
No, we didn't play with the infantry
that's my fault.
But they are here.
Okay. But they have Panzerfausts and bazookas and other things that...
But it's like they're a secondary aspect.
No,
like
and they should be.
You're going to go and fight.
The main focus here is the tanks. But that's something I thought, would that be cool to kind of add that in? It would give it more of that upfront feel. Maybe that's just me, but I like my infantry. Man, I like my infantry.
Yeah, I'd be interested, if, I don't know if that's any kind of realism, if you could have just like a Hanomag with like a squad of guys, and then you flip and dismount, and then you're just in like a fixed position.
Yeah, that would be really cool, though.
I don't know how. That might be entirely game-breaking with the tank, but, you know.
I only bring that up because I don't think everybody loves tanks. I'm going out on a limb there. Because I think a lot of people love tanks, but I know there's people that don't love them. I know there are.
That's probably fair.
And I love them, but I also really like my infantry, man.
I know.
We've had good time with tanks games, but I don't know. I just prefer to line my dudes up and shoot you.
Yeah, so I think overall, this is a game like the English product Marmite. You will either love it or you will hate it.
Yeah, that's probably a good description.
Some people will turn their noses up at...
Is that like Vegemite?
It's
Australian
much
Vegemite?
Better.
Okay. Marmite is superior to Vegemite. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Of course I would say that as an Englishman against the Australian colonials.
Right. I've had none of those. I would never eat that trash.
Oh my gosh.
That's just me.
It's great. But yeah, this is... Some people love this game. It's like their favorite game, and they play all the time. Yeah. Other people poo-poo it, but...
Well, and maybe I'm more in the...
What's wrong with that?
I'm more in the poo-poo range, but I'll still play it. I had a good time with the 4 of us.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this 2-player.
No.
That's not for me.
I agree with that statement. I want to play this with lots of people.
Yeah. Line them up, 4, 5, 6 tanks against each other.
We're all having a good laugh. We're all just shooting each other to death, enjoying ourselves. That's what this game is to me. That's what I think, yep. And it is, frankly, rare that a war game can do that. It can include so many people where they're doing something meaningful, and they haven't just split the forces in two and just be like,
scales very well.
You're the ground commander and you're the air commander. Yeah come on.
Yeah. I'm still in charge of a tank, and I'm moving and shooting. We all have the same
stuff, and we're all just moving around the battlefield.
That is very cool.
That's
very well done.
That's cool.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of players, get them together, get this to the table if this is something you're interested in. There's a lot of videos out there about this as well, and I think if you go to conventions or gaming groups, a lot of people are going to be wanting to play this with you.
I think they will be.
So, this has been a little brief look at Tank Duel, Enemy in the Crosshairs from GMT Games, and I've been Alexander from the Players Aid.
And I'm Grant.